Good afternoon. Today you will learn about the offensive of the Russian army on the front, the brutal shelling of Ukrainian cities by the Russian army, as well as discuss the mobilization in Ukraine, the help of the West, the setup from China, and other equally interesting events that occurred on January 17th. Let's start with the situation on the Ukrainian front. The Institute for the Study of War, analyzing footage from the front, reports 2 Russian advances, north of Dybrovo near Kreminna and north of Kleshchivka near Bakhmut, where the Russian Federation is advancing for the second day in a row. Russian publics claim that their troops have advanced south of Mariinka in recent days, as stated. The goal of the RF in this area is to control the highway to Ugledar, however, as recognized by Russian military telegram channels, the offensive is complicated by the work of Ukrainian drones, as well as dense mining of the approach to the AFU fortification on the Pobedino-Vamykolovka section. By the end of the day, Russian blogs began to write that Russian troops were advancing in Krinky and hoisted a Russian flag in the center of the village, but there is no confirmation of this. Neither the Russian command nor the Ukrainian command disseminated such information. In the evening, there were 2 missile strikes on Kharkiv. According to Ukraine, they were carried out from S-300 complexes, which hit with ballistic missiles, a medical center, the city's famous Barka working area, a nearby district court, and other buildings were hit. Initially, the State Emergency Situations Ministry said the medical center was out of service. But then the Ministry of Health said 9 people were injured after it arrived. The total number of injured was 17, according to official figures. The Russian Defense Ministry claims that a temporary deployment point for foreign volunteers, the core of whom were French, was struck in Kharkiv yesterday. Of them, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, 60 were killed. The Ukrainian authorities have not officially announced the death toll. There was a drone attack during the night. The AFU shot down 19 of the 20 Shahids that attacked from the Sea of Azov. It is known about the flight on Odessa, where 3 wounded. A multi-story building and cars were damaged. Several apartments were burned. After the night attacks, Ukraine announced the first use of hybrid air defense, which destroyed Shahid at a distance of 9 kilometers. The project in question is Frankensam, which combines Soviet Buk-SAMs and radars with U.S. missiles. There have been attacks on the Russian Federation as well. At night, 7 Alka missiles and 4 drones were shot down over the Belgorod region. And in the morning 4 Vampire MLRS missiles and 2 more drones. There is no information on casualties, and Zelensky today again spoke harshly about the military conscripts who left the country. He said that all men of draft age should be in Ukraine during the war. If a man of mobilization age, according to Ukrainian law, he must be in Ukraine. And further, it will be decided whether he will fight or not. He has the right to work and not to be at the front. It depends on the situation, but he has to pay taxes. During the war, this issue is very acute. This issue for the President of Ukraine justice. He also added that now in Ukraine you can't just breathe the air, and that's why you work or fight. He also said that Ukraine will never have enough mobilized people. We are fighting against the Russian Federation, which does not count people, and it can mobilize its own people because it mobilizes corpses. You see, they know they are mobilizing corpses. They're mobilizing meat. They don't care whether that person comes back or not. Let's get to the topic of Western aid. Without Western support, Russia can take over Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky said during the same speech. He urged the West not to experiment with aid. Recall that neither the EU nor the US has yet approved support packages for Ukraine for this year. But Europe continues to provide this aid at the level of individual countries, while America has already run out of money for this. France said yesterday that it will supply Ukraine with 40 additional Scalp cruise missiles. Also in February, the country's President Emmanuel Macron intends to come to Kiev. Apparently, he will sign a bilateral security agreement with Ukraine similar to the one recently signed by the UK. Germany yesterday also announced a new package of military aid to Ukraine, which included many different items, but nothing sensational among them. The Germans also promised that in 2024 they will transfer more than €7 billion worth of aid to Ukraine. By the way, the EU has already reproached Germany for this. They say that it helps Ukraine unilaterally and does little to ensure that the assistance goes at the level of the entire European Union. A separate question is whether the EU will be able to allocate the promised $50 billion to Ukraine. The media say that this could happen in the next couple of weeks as Hungary is ready for a compromise. It could include reimbursing Hungary for interest rate payments after the pandemic. The European Commission is also considering an emergency brake that would allow any country objecting to Ukraine's financing to delay payments, but not veto them. If Orbán continues to block the $50 billion package, it will prompt the EU to initiate a procedure to suspend Hungary's voting rights in the European Council. However, this would require a unanimous EU decision, to which Slovak Prime Minister Fico has already stated that his country will never agree to this. Orbán himself yesterday again promised to block EU aid to Ukraine if it is allocated from the EU's general budget. The Hungarian Prime Minister proposed a model under which each EU country would allocate funds for Kiev separately, according to its GDP. Meanwhile, there was another signal that China's position on the war does not coincide with the vision of Ukraine and the West. China rejected Ukraine's request for a meeting in Davos between Chinese Premier Li Qiang and President Zelensky, Politico reported, citing a senior U.S. official, calling it an unpleasant surprise for Kiev. The Ukrainian leaders have made no secret of their desire to meet with Chinese officials. In particular, Yermak hinted that Zelensky might meet with Chinese Prime Minister Li Qiang, but in the end he did not get the desired meeting, which was a blow to Kiev. At the same time, the representative of Ukraine in comments to the publication denies that Kiev asked for a meeting with the PRC. Also, China did not attend the talks involving the Global South. All this was another sign that China has sided with Russia, another senior U.S. official said China had refused any meetings after Russia urged it to end diplomatic contacts with Ukraine. A Russian Mi-8 helicopter crash-landed in the Bryansk region. It landed near the settlement of Sevsk, breaking power line wires. This was first reported by local telegram channels, then the information was confirmed by the governor of the region Alexander Bogomaz. Because of the incident, there was no electricity in 4 districts of the region, according to telegram channels. On board the Mi-8 were the commander, co-pilot and flight mechanic. The Russian Defense Ministry has also already commented on the event and called the cause of the landing a technical malfunction. Ukrainian businesses are taking out fewer loans and saving money in their bank accounts. This is what financiers say, and most importantly official statistics of the National Bank. According to the fresh report of the NBU, the volume of loans granted to legal entities by the end of 2023 decreased by 2%. This reduction is 10 times stronger than at the beginning of the big war. At the end of 2022, the volume of corporate lending decreased by only 0.2%. At the same time, the NBU recorded a sharp increase in savings on deposits of legal entities last year by 41% at once. This is noticeably higher than in previous years. In pre-war 2021, the deposit portfolio of corporations grew only by 18%, and in 2022 by 17%. Bankers are calling the current increase in business cash savings abnormal. Thanks to everyone who watched this video. If you want to stay up to date and get the latest news, then subscribe to our channel and click on the bell not to miss new releases.